What is up, guys? Welcome back to Dan's Reviews, and today I'm back for another Walking Dead video for today. This one we're going to be doing our weekly review for, honestly, weekly review, but this is no ordinary episode of The Walking Dead. This is going to be for The Walking Dead Season 4, Episode 2 video game, which is called Suffer the Children, and oh my god, they brought her back.
Everyone's counting on me to step up. I can't let another kid die.
We're not gonna let that happen. I promise.
You don't understand. I'm trying to protect you!
The first person who taught me about survival was Lee.
Okay, guys, so this is going to be doing my weekly review for this week's episode of The Walking Dead Telltale Game Series Season 4, Episode 2, which is called Suffer the Children. Now, this review is going to be very jam-packed because I have a lot of things to say about this week's episode. And of course, guys, before we start off this video, if you're new here, of course, there is usually every week we get a live stream. I do my reviews for the episodes, and then Brian Akeem, a good friend of mine here on YouTube, he does his live streams, usually that night or whatever, usually Tuesday night after I review these episodes. So if you're interested in talking about these episodes more, not only with me, but with Brian, go to his live stream. That'll be tonight at 8:20 Eastern Standard Time. Now, let's get started with talking about this episode, because I have just an insane amount of things to say. You know, I have been constantly impressed with this season. As you guys know, I really enjoyed the premiere, and I love this episode even more, honestly. There are so many things that happen in this episode. I just want to talk about it. I just want to discuss it. So, spoiler warning, I guess, even though I'm really the only one that's probably needing the whole spoiler warning thing, because I'm just getting into this video game series. I'm sure a lot of people have already seen, you know, the whole rest of the season, but we only have 2 more weeks of reviewing the Walking Dead Telltale Game Series, and then what my plan is I'm going to be taking a little bit of a couple week break, and then we'll do the Michonne game, and then maybe another break after that, and then we'll start Uncharted. That's my plan for the whole video game videos that I'm going to be doing. I'll probably stick to Tuesdays as well. I think Tuesdays are a good day, but yeah, anyway, without further ado, let's talk about this episode. So, Lily has returned, which I've had this kind of question for a long time of just where has she been? Where, you know, is her character? I've kind of wondered this ever since they kicked her out in Season 1, and she's kind of turned into the new Morales for me, except not as many people give a crap because she did some pretty crappy things like killing, Carly and just all these things like that. But, we have a lot of things that I just kind of been wondering about. Where has she been? What has been going on with her? Well, we finally got our answer in this episode, at least a little bit of it, and, my hype is through the roof to see what they do with her character. Now, let's discuss this episode, and let's also talk about the Whisper we saw in this episode. Now, I did not expect this, okay? I did not expect to see any more Walking Dead connections in this episode. I expected to see, honestly, maybe, I don't know, references, or maybe Jesus would make a return. I don't know, something small. I did not expect to see a Whisper in this episode. It shocked me completely, and I want to say a huge thank you to all you guys, because honestly, you guys have kept in so many secrets. I don't know how you've kept all this information in. The Whisper, the Lily return, I mean, all this stuff. Now I'm understanding why people love Season 4 so much. It really is a masterpiece, honestly. So many things going on in this episode, but I don't want to go too off track. I want to talk about the episode in order, so let's get started with that. So we basically have where things left off after the end of episode 1. We have RJ, of course, and he, of course, has killed, Marlon, and, the people are scared of him. They're scared of this kid, what he may do, and they basically take a vote, and they decide that they're going to kick Clementine and AJ out, basically, and we have them that get kicked out, and it's kind of, at this point, I was like, man, really, they're going this direction? We're never going to see these characters again? Is that really what they're going to do? And then, like, the people, that kicked them out or whatever, because I was like, I'm really liking these characters, and then they kicked them out, I'm just like, oh, man, really? And Violet doesn't really want them to go, basically, and we have, basically the return of Lily, and this, and they basically get confronted, Clementine and AJ, and it's really crazy. Now, the one dude in this episode that I let go in the last episode that robbed, Clementine and AJ back in episode 1, I let him go, and now I kind of wish I didn't, because he came back in this episode, and, AJ got hurt, of course, and got shot by this guy, and basically Lily and Clementine or whatever, they kind of they have a bit of a moment, but basically Clementine goes against Lily and that type of deal, and Lily versus Clem, that type of thing, and they're running through the woods. Now, basically we have Violet and we have Lewis, and they try to kind of help Clem and the others, but the main one that saves them, and let's not delay it any further, we have a Whisperer that shows up. Now, this guy's name is James, which I find very interesting, and it sounds like basically based off of his story, it sounds like during the Whisper War, he decided to leave, which I still can't believe they actually did this, and they even reference like the Whisper War kind of in this episode. He basically, it was too much for him, he wanted to leave, and basically he saves Clem and AJ. He's a good guy, he's a Whisperer, but he's a good guy. And basically, he takes Clem and AJ back or whatever. AJ's been shot and all that kind of stuff. So they let Clem and AJ back in, basically. And we have Ruby that takes care of AJ as Clementine and the others basically try to set up some kind of attack plan or some sort, to take down Lily and her people. So very interesting. I was really intrigued when I was watching this stuff. And honestly, you have all this stuff with them kind of getting ready. You have Mitch, and he doesn't really like Clem too much. And throughout the episode, he gets a little bit better. And I didn't really like Mitch in this episode, I'm just going to be honest, but I really did like what they did with, Clementine and how she kind of gets the group together. She kind of tells them all what to do, and they go for the run. Basically, they go to get the barbed wire, all this stuff, to kind of get ready for an attack. And to my surprise, which I did not expect to see in this episode, they actually have a time skip in this. So we have everybody that's, helping out with AJ. AJ is fine. He does survive, but of course, it does come close, that's for sure. And we get to see that, it's kind of a question of, are they only letting Clem stay until, this whole thing with Lily and her people are over, and then they'll kick them back out, or are they fully, let back in and they'll let them stay? That's kind of the big question in this episode. And throughout, we get to see that, no, they need Clem, they need her, they need AJ on their side, and, they need her to stay, basically. So Clementine and the others, or Clementine and AJ decide that, it's okay, they can stay there, and we have Violet that's happy about that, and I really like Violet as a character. I really like her character. I think that her character overall is just really, she's really growing on me for sure, and she's becoming one of my favorites in the Walking Dead Telltale game, series. So yeah, Violet is becoming one of my favorites right now. Now, we get to see our characters. Now, this is the part that's really crazy to me, and I'm just as shocked as the characters in this episode. We literally have 2 weeks that goes by, and they don't attack at all. Lily and her people, they don't attack. And I'm just as shocked as the characters, because Clementine and the others are like, we had all this time to get prepared, and then they're not even attacking. Like, what's going on? And I'm really wondering why it took Lily and them so long to attack. But at the end of the episode, they do attack. We have the attack scene that happens, and we have the death of Mitch, and we also have Clementine, of course, versus Lily. Of course, we have all this stuff that goes down. Mitch gets killed. Honestly, the characters are a huge fight scene, basically, a huge battle scene in this episode, and I was on the edge of my seat through the whole ending scene of the episode, that whole battle scene, absolutely incredible. And by the end of the episode, we have Lewis and a few others that basically are captured by Lily and the others, and they are taken, basically, and we have, Clementine and the others that have to get them back, basically. So, and we have, fire everywhere and stuff like that, and basically, the mission in the next episode is to try to get the captured people or whatever back. Lewis and, a couple others, and Lily is, taking them, basically, and running off. So, that is basically the episode all the way through, and I love this episode. I honestly, guys, this episode from the Lily return, which I did not expect to see, and the biggest part about this episode isn't even that. The fact that they've actually introduced a Whisperer in this, and yeah, he leaves and that type of deal, but it's insane what they did with this episode, honestly. From the battle scene to the Lily return to the, the new group of villains, the new threat, the Whisperers, all this kind of stuff, the whole connections to the Walking Dead comic book series. Once again, they had Jesus last season, now a Whisperer in this season, and not only that, the nightmare scenes with Clementine, AJ and everything that's going on with him, not knowing if he's going to survive, and then we see that he does. Violet really growing as a character, and just, even Lewis as well, and I really like how in this episode they all realize they need Clem, and I mean, they needed her, because look how everything went in the battle. If it wasn't for Clementine at the end of this episode in the battle, they could have all been wiped out, honestly. It would have been highly likely. So, because of Clem staying, that's kind of the reward, is that, now that, Clem stayed, everything, goes, aside from Mitch's death and a few others and that type of deal, things went a lot better than they would have went. And I'm so intrigued with Lily's character and her as a villain. I can't wait. So anyway, if you guys want to discuss this episode more with me, I will be doing that on Brian Akeem's live stream. I love this episode. I'm sorry, I'm going to give this episode another 10 out of 10. This was an incredible episode, and I'm so excited to hear what you guys think. So anyway, guys, if you're new here, guys, click the subscribe button so you don't miss out on my Walking Dead videos. Follow Dance Walking Dead reviews on Instagram, guys. And of course, I'll see you guys really soon for another Walking Dead video. Enjoy the rest of your day, guys, and peace out.
Anybody else?